Hello, welcome to Library Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell from the B.B. Comer Memorial Library here in Sylacauga. Before I get started, I want to thank Chris and Robert and everyone with the TV station for allowing us to have this program and share with you some fun, exciting things going on in the community and at the library. Today, I'm very excited. Dave Holland is joining me. We've just come from a program at the library that you did, Dave. It was wonderful. He's with Beatin Path Rhythm Events as part of our summer program. So thank you for staying over and taping this program.
You get a drum roll.
Oh, yay! All right.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
It was a wonderful program. But before we get into that, tell us about yourself, where you're from, or things like that.
Sure. I am a little bit of a Southern transplant. I was born and raised outside Philadelphia, and then moved here when I was about 10 years old to South Georgia. So this area of the world has deep roots for me, and of course I was always the kid in school that was always banging on things and always beating on stuff. And my parents thought, well, we got to get him a drum set. So that's what they did. And then I started my rhythmic pursuit from there. We were talking beforehand, though, that the funny thing about me being invited into schools and libraries is that I was always the kid that got in trouble for making noise in the library. And now wonderful libraries like yours invite me in to make noise.
To make noise.
Yeah. So rhythm and music were a part of my life, and I grew up playing in the high school marching band, and then I ran off and became a Navy musician.
Oh, goodness.
And then I had a dear aunt that was really, really wonderful in my life, and so I ended up getting out of the Navy, coming back to Valdosta, so to take care of her and start school. But I didn't see any sense in doing music. I figured I had done that. So I went to school for theater and broadcast journalism. So now I get to sort of move all of the presentational and the theatrical parts. And so today's show is all about the oceanic or ocean possibilities, an ocean of possibilities. And so I put together a little bit of a rhythm treasure hunt across and so that's how this whole thing full circle came into the work that I do now, which is to produce shows, present shows for libraries, schools, communities. I do drum circles. We've got pictures up. Great. So that's an example of the show, and you can see that so I'm surrounded by lots of what we call rhythmic treasures. And so you'll see the globe there in the foreground. And so what we do is we invite kids to come with us across the oceans and to visit different lands and different cultures that play music.
That is so nice.
So as a teaching artist, that's what we do. We come into libraries or schools and we use an art form to support an intention. And the summer, of course, the intention for libraries is to get kids in, get them excited about being in the library, get them excited about different programs, or get curious about the world around them, because that's what the world of books has certainly done for me, is get me curious about the world. And so the last place that we visit is the Sea of Imagination. And so the best place to open your sea of imagination is in the library, where all of these books that you read become your little islands that you jump around and springboard off. So is it okay if I show some rhythmic treasures? One of the rhythmic places that we go is West Africa, and kids may know drums, but they may not know that some drums are designed to talk. And so this little drum here, because he has the capacity to play different pitches, and all I'm doing is I'm squeezing these straps in between the two heads. And so as I squeeze, I'm raising the pitch. When we speak, of course, we use our pitch, our inflection, to make it what we're saying more interesting. But we also use our rhythm. And so this little guy can speak. He doesn't speak English. He speaks Yoruba, which is a language from Nigeria. And so he can say "kabo," or means welcome. Kabo.
That's cool.
Very simple. But maybe something a little more complicated. Let's see. Shidadalode. And that means we were expecting you. It looks like, wow, the TV station was expecting us.
They were.
And so, Shidadalode, he can say that too. Shidadalode. And so through rhythm and inflection, he can go, Kabo, Shidadalode.
The kids enjoyed that today.
Yeah,
hearing
so
different
it's fun to sort of make
pitches.
the connection between rhythm and language, because then they become a little bit more aware of the things that they're saying, how they're saying them, how they're showing up. And for me, reading has really been opened up a world for that kind of playful interaction with the world. Okay, I've got one more.
Oh, good.
This is of course, everybody knows. It's a tangerine.
Yeah.
If you ask a 4-year-old, that's what they'll say. They'll say, it's a tangerine. Well, but a tambourine, we often play it in different ways. You probably have seen it played on the hip or in 2 hands. But this comes from Egypt originally.
Okay.
And it might be interesting to know that the people in the culture that played tambourines were the women. And they would play it. They could play the jingles or the zills, and then play the skin at the same time.
That's
So
fun.
that's a little bit of the Egyptian or Middle Eastern tambourine. So these are some of the rhythmic treasures that we share from different cultures around the world.
I enjoyed the show today so much, this part, and traveling to different places, different oceans, different countries. So I think the kids learned a lot. I know they really enjoyed it.
I think it's wonderful to make that connection between the oceans and the resources that are found in the oceans, the different ways that people, because there's some wonderful history here of the value of water in our area. Of how Native Americans have used water to soak grasses to make baskets, or to use it as a wonderful resource. So I think just that awareness of different oceans and different lands, and how different people living in different parts of the world express themselves differently because of their relationship with the ocean, and so and of course we have to tell pirate jokes.
Oh yes, I tell you, that's one of my favorite parts. I love the whole thing, but the pirate jokes. What I really love about your program too is it's not a performance. I mean, we are hearing you play music and things like that, but you involve the audience. It's very interactive, and I love that.
So I don't think, and I think you may have had conversations with the community about this as well, and we mentioned this before we went on camera, is that there used to be this notion of you go and see a show and you go home. And you would go to a show place, or you go to a theater. Well, now that libraries are doing shows, the library has become a little bit more of a community place, where not only you can see a show, but then you can go check out a book about the show that you saw.
That's true.
And for little ones, that creates sort of a 3-point experience. So they see the show, and then they have then they're with community and meeting people from around their community. But then they're taking home a book, so they're having a literacy connection. And so libraries' function in the community has changed, I'm assuming, since you've started working even.
Yes, I've been there about 12 years, a little more than 12. But yes, it's changed a little bit more. It's more than just books. I'm so glad. We are books. We are a lot of books.
It makes it for a fun and exciting place. And I often, and matter of fact, I'm going to the library, I think this week, up in Opelika. And the last time I was there, he said, I've got to run. I'll be back. I'm hosting a cooking class.
Oh, good.
and so at the library, they're having a cooking class every Tuesday or whenever it was. And so there's that component. Folks are showing up to learn things about their community. I've done adult programs at libraries that where adults are interested in instruments and so we do sort of adult programs for hands-on drumming and that kind of thing as well.
That's awesome. We're going to pause for a commercial break, and we'll be right back and talk some more with Dave Holland.
The Maxie Veazey Senior Adult Activity Center offers the senior citizens in the Sylacauga and surrounding areas lots of fantastic activities throughout the week. Sewing, ladies bridge, quilting, game-o-rama, ceramic classes, bingo, travel club, and lots more. It's all at the Maxie Veazey Senior Adult Activity Center located next to the J. Craig Smith Community Center in Sylacauga. Don't spend any more time alone. Get out, make new friends, and have fun.
Sylacauga's best kept secret? No more. Harvey's on Noble is the place to go for the area's best food and drinks. Whether you're in the mood for steak, burgers, salad, seafood, or dessert, Harvey's on Noble will not disappoint, and the atmosphere is perfect for catching the big game or just relaxing after work. Harvey's is open for dinner Wednesday through Saturdays, so round up the family and we'll see you at Harvey's on Noble, downtown Sylacauga.
Great. What am I going to do now?
Time to visit Brown's Auto Collision.
No problem at all. We've contacted your insurance company and we can get you back in the original condition right away. And I just want to remind you that all of our work is covered by a lifetime warranty. We're done.
Wow, that was easy and looks great.
Brown's Auto Collision,
where quality is no accident.
Welcome back to Library Connection. I'm talking with Dave Holland from Beatin Path Rhythm Events. He's just done a wonderful program at the library for us. I know we were all clapping and singing. I love how you got the children involved. Now you do a lot of music. I know that's what you do, but you said you've also written a book, or you're working on a book. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it won't come as any surprise to you that the book is about music.
Great. Good.
And about. So I think one of the things that we can best do is, and teachers often struggle with, well, we're having trouble teaching this concept because the student can't pay attention, or or maybe is distracted over something.
Right, sure.
And so I think one of the things that we can really help to create are kids that are curious, kids that are present, kids that are making good choices, because you can't teach someone who's distracted, you know. And so I think that, what I've always been curious about is like this interaction between me and little ones. And of course, the most important little one that you can ever have is your own little one, right? And so when I was taking my daughter to school, I would often have these little conversations with her about, what's your day going to look like? And what are we going to do today that was different than yesterday? Or better than yesterday? How are we going to learn from these little lessons? And so I took these little ideas and turned them into a book of five lessons, little things to remember along the way. And I modeled the character after my daughter, and her name is Lulu, and she's a little llama. And so the book is called The Llama Who Rocks in Her Polka Dot Socks. And so each day, Lulu picks out a different color polka dot sock. And I can't remember all of the colors each day.
That's
but,
okay.
but one day she might wear blue, and she rocks it at school, for example. And then she always participates and raises, not afraid to raise her hand and be engaged. And so just encouraging kids to really, if you spend most of your time in school, let's really make the most of the time you spend in school. And then, the next day she rocks it at home. She shows up and she helps mom in the kitchen, and she picks out a game, and she's really makes the most of her time wherever she is. So one day she volunteers at a local dog pound
to help her community.
And so she's into community work, and of course with her friends she never gossips, and she always shows up and supports. She works out in the gym one day. And then on Saturday, she wears a multicolored pair of socks. And that's when she invites her friends over for a drum circle. Now, do you know what a drum circle is?
No, what is that?
So a drum circle is when you have many different types of instruments and invite many different people to come and play. And we start with just sort of, let's keep a beat. And then on top of the beat, can you play a little rhythm? And I may play one rhythm, and you may play a different rhythm, and I may play on a bell, or I may play. And so in this part of the book, we get into more musical education, teaching kids about different timbres or different sound qualities of instruments. Why does a shaker sound different than a bell? Different resources are different from a drum. And so Lulu facilitates, big word. She doesn't really lead like a band leader, but a facilitator sort of tries different things so that people hear different things, right? She may invite someone to take a solo. She might invite everyone to come down soft so we can hear everybody. So different ways that a facilitator can create an experience that has more meaning, and more meaning, of course, creates better music. And so she invites her friends over for a Saturday evening drum circle. and that includes a dance. Everyone dances, and at the end everybody rumbles, and then, so it ends with a big rhythmic celebration.
Fun.
And so that's a wonderful introduction, I think, for kids to bring their kids or their friends around. Yes. I remember when I was a kid, one thing that we would do is have a carnival. Or like a fair, or a little talent show in the backyard.
Oh, fun.
So I think that a drum circle is a great way, because you don't need to have fancy drums. You can have pots and pans or buckets or things, and you can still have big fun making rhythm together. And so that's how the book kind of culminates, except on Sunday, Lulu goes barefoot.
Oh.
And that's when Lulu takes a break, and she goes to the park with a good book. Of course.
Okay.
Because Lulu loves to read, and she hangs a hammock and she swings and she listens to little bird song. She taps, and Lulu takes a nap.
Oh, little
and
time.
so Lulu, of course, you got to take naps on Sunday afternoon.
Absolutely,
right?
I do. Yeah.
and so that's how the whole book. And then the book ends with, well, now that you've learned about Lulu, Lulu has a question for you. How do you rock in your polka dot socks? So it really encourages kids to be intentional in their choices, to make the best choices possible, because life's a little too short to live in drama. And being upset or blaming somebody for something they did yesterday, or worried about yesterday, because we always want to be, living in the moment. So it's a little bit of social emotional learning that helps kids to be present, mindful, and productive in their community, but also to keep them creative and curious about the world around them. So there's the book and an introduction to drum circles for you.
It's what now?
And an introduction of drum circles.
Yes, introduction.
And so what we plan is, when the book comes out, we'll be hopefully going to different libraries and bringing the family drum circle experience.
Oh, fun.
Along with book reading and book signings and those kind of things. So look for that coming to a library near you.
I sure will look for it. How Lulu rocks in her polka dot
the
sock.
llama who rocks in her polka dot socks.
That's great.
And I don't know, did we mention the website Beatin Path Rhythm Events? We could do that. You wanted to know a little bit more about that?
How to find out more about what you do.
Work. Well, Beatin Path is an idea that I came up with. So about going down the beaten path. Well, I figured the play on words is the Beatin Path, Beatin, and so my company is called Beatin Path Rhythm Events.
Yes.
And so Lulu, the llama who rocks in her polka dot socks, and other programs can be found on that website, or links to buying.
I've been to your website several times, I know, and it's very easy to work, and I enjoyed seeing a little bit. I don't know exactly what a drum circle is, I know but you can see that and see some other things going on. Hear a little bit about your
drum circles are basically what the community shows up to make them. So what's kind of fun about them is, and performances are like this to an extent, but if I'm presenting a performance, I have kind of control, right?
Right.
When I do a drum circle, I'm relinquishing some of that control over who shows up, what they want to play, and so sometimes their energy is really, really high. Sometimes it's a little more about relaxing, and so it depends on the needs of the folks who show up. And so a drum circle also depends. Sometimes if it's for a corporation, the intention can be different. Sometimes a corporation can be going through change and transition, so we're digging through that and just listening to each other a little bit more, and listening to how people, if it's a celebration, I do something we call a fam jam for families who are celebrating birthdays or family reunions in the park. And so a drum circle can have lots of different significance and different intentions as well. But Beatin Path Rhythm Events is kind of designed to support kids, communities, libraries, and that kind of thing.
So you do school shows and all those things too, not just libraries. You do.
So libraries are mostly during the summer. That's when libraries happen. We do some summer schools and that kind of thing, summer camps as well. But during the school year, that's when we're in schools doing library and doing the same type of shows, but typically for K through 5, but all the way up through high school and even some college performances. So the work that the art of rhythm making is learning about different cultures, different instruments, and then putting them into an ensemble. So I have a world percussion ensemble called a duo called Globo Drum.
Okay.
And we use a large video screen, so video support along with the drumming. And so that's interesting and sort of certainly of interest to folks all the way into, to adults, like we said.
That's great. We're going to pause for another commercial break, and we'll be right back and talk some more with Dave.
The Maxie Veazey Senior Adult Activity Center offers the senior citizens in the Sylacauga and surrounding areas lots of fantastic activities throughout the week. Sewing, ladies bridge, quilting, game-o-rama, ceramic classes, bingo, travel club, and lots more. It's all at the Maxie Veazey Senior Adult Activity Center located next to the J. Craig Smith Community Center in Sylacauga. Don't spend any more time alone. Get out, make new friends, and have fun.
Sylacauga's best kept secret? No more. Harvey's on Noble is the place to go for the area's best food and drinks. Whether you're in the mood for steak, burgers, salad, seafood, or dessert, Harvey's on Noble will not disappoint, and the atmosphere is perfect for catching the big game or just relaxing after work. Harvey's is open for dinner Wednesday through Saturdays, so round up the family and we'll see you at Harvey's on Noble, downtown Sylacauga.
Great. What am I going to do now?
Time to visit Brown's Auto Collision.
No problem at all. We've contacted your insurance company and we can get you back into original condition right away. And I just want to remind you that all of our work is covered by a lifetime warranty. We're done.
Wow, that was easy and looks great.
Brown's Auto Collision.
Where quality is no accident.
Welcome back to Library Connection. I'm talking with Dave Holland from Beatin Path Rhythm Events, who has just performed at the library. I'm worn out and tired, and I didn't even perform.
From me talking so much?
No, from the performance. We were clapping, and it was so fun. But and I know during the program today, you talked about going to different countries, but you've done a lot of traveling, haven't you?
Yeah, they say that the best gift you could ever give a youngster as they're coming up is this gift of travel.
Yes.
And so I can't take 200 kids with me to West Africa, but I can bring a piece of West Africa to them. And so I had, when I started looking at music as a profession, I knew that I needed some more training. I had been traveling around the world as a professional player, but I was playing more drum set, and I had learned drum set here in the States. And drum set, of course, is an instrument from the U.S. But when I wanted to play other instruments from around the world, I thought, well, I'm going to need to go to the world. I could have gone to university and learned, maybe scratch the surface, and there are some great players and great teachers here, but I decided to do take it a little different route.
Yes.
When I was playing drum set, I was often focused on the music, which is great, focused on the notes. But then my friends that I started meeting from Ghana, Cuba, Puerto Rico, they started to connect me more with the people aspect.
Okay. Yes.
And I think that that's really what intrigued me. And so I felt that, yes, I could go to a university in the States and learn some of the music, but to really get to know the people and the culture and learn why that people play music. And I think that's the fun thing about reading, is that you learn not only what people do, but you start to learn why people do it. And so that's the reason I started traveling, and I certainly enjoyed my time in West Africa, Turkey, Brazil, Cuba, Puerto Rico. One of the last places that I went just before the pandemic was I spent Thanksgiving in Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, goodness.
Doing some research and study about the steel drum culture there.
Oh, that's
And
right.
so-
there are so many drums, percussion instruments.
There are so many drums and different, and what I love is they all have different personalities and they all do different things, and so I love to take not only the experiences of travel, but also the interesting drums, because I think just like drums are unique, I think it's important to sort of help kids to understand that they're unique as well. You know?
Right, that's
and
true.
what they bring to the table is kind of cool.
That's neat. Well, the show, I can't say enough how much I enjoyed it today. It was great.
Well, now everyone that's watching is going to want to come see the show, so we're going to have to do another
next summer.
We're going to have to do another show next summer.
We will. How do you plan your programs for the summer and what's coming up?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's interesting. This show may be on the docket for a while.
Okay, yeah.
It looks like it has some pretty good crossover. Typically, teaching artists, those of us who use an art form to support a learning or
Yes.
intention, we typically design a program just for the summer, and then we kind of pack it away, and then we go back to doing the shows that we do during the course of the year. But it looks like this show might be sticking around for a while. There's some
Yes.
many schools that have expressed some interest in it.
Yeah.
But what's coming up next is probably looking at combining programs with the book, helping
Yes.
to put that out into the community and birth that project. And then of course during the summer I'm away from my family an awful lot, so
I know.
getting back in touch with with them and before the school year starts up. So yeah. But I tell you what, I can't thank you enough for what you do in your community, and I know that I express my gratitude along with everyone for the work that you do in bringing great programs in and keeping kids connected with the world around them through literacy and through programs like this. So
Well, thank you.
thank you.
You are very kind, and I just appreciate you coming again. I know all the way from Atlanta and bringing all of your truckload of all the things you brought. It was so fun, though. And I think there may be some future drummers or musicians in our audience today.
Oh
They
yeah,
enjoyed
and
it.
you don't need to have fancy drums. You could.
Right. You did a lot of that. I saw some boys in the back doing that. During the program.
Yeah, this desk sounds, yeah, you can play around with the things around you. You can make music with literally anything.
That's neat. Well, we've got about a minute and a half left. Anything else coming up? I know you've got the book, and I'm excited about that. Any drum circles, things like that, or?
Yeah,
Always on the calendar.
So we basically crunch through I'm working pretty solid through the end of next week, and then if there are any music educators or homeschool folks, there's a wonderful company in Canada called Music Play.
Okay.
And so one of the projects that I'll be working on in August is going back into the studio. So if you're folks who are who are teaching at home, one of my other offshoot companies is Interactive Rhythm, and that's actually where Lulu, the book and everything will be sold with links. But interactiverhythm.com has a little rhythm-based series that I put together during the pandemic in the studio called A Rhythm Moment with Mr. Dave.
I saw that.
Yeah,
yes.
and so it's fun for homeschool groups and music educators. And so there was a company in Canada that saw that video series and they said, well, would you do sort of a series for us that's a little bit longer to teach kids how to play drums? And so if you go to musicplay.com or .ca, I think the lessons will be free.
Oh,
so it's going to be drum play with Mr. Dave to teach kids how to drum. So that's the big project in the studio that I'll be working on in August.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Dave, for being here, and I know you'll want to look for him next summer. Thank you for being here, and then thank you for joining us on Library Connection.